everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Lit Talks with Skylar and Sydney. I'm your co-host Skylar, here today to talk about the nonfiction novel Into the Wild by Jon Krakauer.
Yeah, this was an adventurous story about Chris McCandless's life and death in the great wilderness of Alaska. Krakauer was extremely intrigued by McCandless's eventual death and his motives to leave behind a successful life and start a new naturalist life.
In this episode, we're going to focus on whether or not it's possible to lead a complete naturalistic life in today's modern society.
I'll tell you what, Skylar, I don't think I could ever live without my laptop or phone or things like air conditioning in this time period.
Yeah, well, in today's culture, I think it's virtually impossible to be an absolute naturalist. Even McCandless carried around money and occasionally used his phone.
But I think there are some people that can give up most materialistic things. In Chapter 3, Krakauer writes that Chris was appalled by his parents wanting to give him gifts. He says, "I can't believe they'd try and buy me a car. I'm going to have to be real careful not to accept any gifts from them in the future because they will think that they have bought my respect."
Right here, Krakauer wants the readers to wonder if they themselves could turn down a brand new car.
Yeah, Krakauer's purpose is exactly this. He wants readers to question whether or not they could lead a naturalist life, and I definitely don't think I could if Chris couldn't.
If Krakauer didn't include this anecdote, the audience would just be reading a story of a man's life. The purpose of this novel is more than just providing facts of what happened to Chris. The book is almost a call to action to change the readers' lives. It's ironic that his lifestyle is what drove him to his death, but he was also at peace when he did die.
Exactly. When he was finally able to escape after college, he said that he felt free from a world of abstraction, insecurity, and material access in Chapter 3. In the concluding paragraph of Chapter 3, Krakauer describes how at peace Chris felt to be leaving the materialistic world behind. So, although he did lead a society centered around money, success, and possessions, he still had to keep his belongings in his car with him and brought money. Therefore, I don't think it is possible to truly leave the materialistic life behind and still survive today.
Let's focus on Chapter 13 and the effect Chris's death had on his family.
Okay, so another one of the many purposes of this novel is to uncover what McCandless did in his last days on Earth. He died a tragic death of starvation all alone, and he completely severed his family relations and never talked to them after leaving Emory. He went into the wild to discover his own happiness and left his old life.
So, do you think it's selfish to ignore the people who love you to follow your own pursuit of happiness?
I personally think that you will find happiness in the people you love and the people who love you. Chris loved his sister Corrine and had a strong bond with her, but despite his love, he still left her.
I agree. I think it was selfish of Chris to leave so abruptly, without saying goodbye to his family. Although his parents and him didn't get along, I think they earned the right to know where their child was going.
In Chapter 13, we see the effects of Chris's departure and death in the eyes of his sister. Krakauer writes that Corrine found that her appetite had vanished and she lost 10 pounds, leading her friends to worry that she was becoming anorectic. Her mom, Billy, also lost 8 pounds, and her father, Walt, gained 8 pounds. This ironic situation was included to emphasize the negative impact Chris's selfishness had on his family.
Krakauer demonstrates how, in Chris's pursuit of happiness, his selfish tendencies took a toll on his family in the worst way possible. The family struggle makes the readers pity the ones who loved Chris. By including the family's grieving period in the novel, Krakauer fulfills his purpose by providing a basis of debate and making the readers question if their pursuit of happiness is more important than the people they love.
Clearly, Chris's decision led to a tragic downfall for both him and his family. In this case, I think that there is a certain extent of what you can do to find happiness and not hurt the ones you love and who love you.
Throughout Chris's journey in the novel, Krakauer provides many debatable topics about different lifestyles that one could live. Considering his purpose of writing this is to provide a detailed story of Chris's life, I think he definitely achieved it.
Yeah, but also Krakauer makes readers question what they think to be moral and whether or not they would be able to live the same way that Chris did.
Krakauer provided evidence for both sides of each debate in this novel. He was able to fulfill his purpose.
Yeah, and I think that about wraps it up for this episode of Lit Talks. I'm Sydney.
And I'm Skylar. Thank you for listening to our questions, and join us next time on Lit Talks.